Hey guys, it's here my review for the first episode of the revival of the Amazon show, The Tick. This is Season 1, Episode 1, also called The Tick. And what The Tick is basically about is we center on this character, Arthur, and he seems like your everyday accountant, but he's not that. In fact, he is pretty much obsessed with superheroes, and when he watches this video about this law-wide conspiracy about this villain, the Terror, who he had a run-in with earlier in his childhood, he becomes obsessed with trying to track him down. And right when it seems like he's ready to track him down, this blue superhero named the Tick basically tells him that they're going to try to take down the supervillain together. But the real question is Arthur really up to the task, or is this all in his head? And that's really all I'm going to say. The Tick, guys, I really did not know how the show was going to turn out for a couple of reasons. One, I did not watch the original show. I'm not familiar with this source material. I know it's a very popular show back in the day, and I know a lot of people definitely really do enjoy it. I believe it was on like the early 2000s, and then the cartoon was like the 90s or whatever. But I really did not know much about it. I know that the first episode premiered way back last August, and I didn't really know how the show was going to turn out. Why? Because Amazon doesn't really have that great of a track record when it comes to TV. Sure, they've had some great shows like One Mississippi, Fleabag just got renewed, but it's very rare that they have a show that really lasts and actually is something that is really great. I feel like Amazon, they just really been struggling to find some great stuff out there, and The Tick really seemed like it could be a great show for them, and I have to say, that is The Tick the right direction for Amazon to go in? Absolutely. I really love this first episode. I think it was a lot of fun to watch, and I'm definitely very interested in seeing where the show is really going to take us. But let's just get into the show, starting off with the cast. And right off the bat, the cast is something that I definitely was very impressed with, because they're not really taking this all too seriously. Everyone, you can tell, is having a great time with their roles. Easily, though, the highlight of this entire show is Peter Serafinowicz as the Tick. I mean, just such a fun character. The Tick, to his core, is kind of like a parody of all kinds of, like, 60s superhero shows, and he really does embrace the cheesiness of this character. I mean, this character, he's just so hubristic and charismatic, and he's just so fun to watch, but we don't really know a ton about him. Where's his background from? You know, how did he really come to be? Why is he recruiting Arthur? We don't know much about him, but also he very well could be, like I said, Arthur's imagination. Is this character actually real? We don't really know. Right now, it doesn't really matter. Peter Serafinowicz just absolutely kills his character. You know, I know Patrick Warburton played him originally, and he had really big shoes to fill, but Peter Serafinowicz seemed like he really rose to the occasion very well, and he was just so entertaining to watch. You could tell he's just so proud of himself being the Tick. He's this great big superhero, and he's just a lot of fun to watch, and I really love what we got with him here. He was fantastic. But I have to say, the rest of the cast, honestly, I think is just as good. Now, I don't think there is anyone that is as amazing as Peter Serafinowicz, but I think everyone still is really great. Griffin Newman in particular really stuck out to me as our main character, Arthur, because in the original show, the Tick really was the main focus. Here, it really is centered on Arthur, and Arthur's a very fascinating character. Like I said, he's obsessed with superheroes to the point where he has done, like, extensive research. He has a whole, just bulletin board full of documents all about this villain that he's chasing, which we'll talk more about that villain in a little bit, but this character is so interesting because you don't really know if this guy is sane or not. Is he actually, you know, is this legit? Is there actually a villain out there? Is the Tick real? Or is this guy just crazy? You're not entirely sure, but you're so fascinated by him. And Griffin Newman plays up this character very well to the point where he doesn't even know if he's out of his mind or not. And I definitely really love the way that was played up here. I think he definitely did a really great job. And it was a very subdued performance. Like, he could have easily been very over the top and, you know, been basically just as crazy as the Tick, but I thought the juxtaposition of these two characters worked really well. When you have Arthur, things are just normal, you know, it's like the real world, but then you have the Tick, it gets all crazy, and I thought their bond was one of the best parts of the show. They already work so well together, and I'm definitely very interested in seeing where exactly this is going to go. Arthur's a very fascinating character, and I can't wait to see where the show really does take him. And Valorie Curie does play Arthur's sister Dot, and she also was a character I really did like. We don't know a ton about her. All we know is that she is Arthur's legal guardian, and she's very concerned about him. You can tell that she knows he's very erratic, and it seems like this is not the first time where he's talked about these villains, and she's very much concerned, but she really just wants him to be okay, and I'm interested in seeing where their relation was going to go. There, like I said, whole thing really did stick out to me. And then the only other person to really talk about here is Jackie Earle Haley as the villain, the Terror, and he honestly might be on the same page as Peter Serafinowicz. He was awesome as his character. You put Jackie Earle Haley in anything, it's automatically better. Even as Freddy Krueger, as much as I hate the Nightmare on Elm Street remake and think it's really not a good movie at all, he was still really fun as that character, and he does such a great job here. I really did love his character. You don't really know what his motivation is, but you know that he did have this run-in with Arthur, and he wants to take over the galaxy, and he's just a lot of fun to watch. I really did like his character. Really, the whole cast here just seems to be having a great time, and I think that's something that really does help the series as a whole. So now let's get to the directing and the writing, because that's something as well that I was definitely very happy with. Right off the bat, everyone's saying, oh, these shows are way too dark, these superhero shows, they just don't take themselves, they take themselves too seriously, they're all gritty and dark and things like that. And if you guys are tired of that, then you're gonna love this show, because this very much, while it does have its dramatic moments to it, it really is harkening back to really ridiculous 60s superhero shows. And that's something I definitely really loved. It's just trying to be a fun show, and it does a really good job with that. I had a lot of fun with this show overall, just a lot of really fun moments, but the thing that I definitely did like about the show is that it also, to its core, while it is ridiculous, it also is a bit of a character study in getting into Arthur's psyche. Is he crazy? Is he not? And I thought those two tones actually balanced together really, really well, mainly because it is very much, kind of Arthur's worldview. He views everything as superheroes and supervillains, but is that really the case? Are these characters actually real? And like I said, at this moment in time, it kind of matters, but also kind of doesn't, because you're so into just the fun of it all, and that's something I thought they did do really well. And then the writing to the show is also fantastic. I really love the way this character was written. They really did take the time to get into Arthur's backstory of how he had, he had this run-in with this villain, and he didn't really know if he was crazy or not, and no one really believed him, and he's having, regular routinal checkups with a therapist who she doesn't even know if he's off his rocker or not, and then realizing that he's actually this kid in the photo, that he's kind of been, known for this for a very long time now. I just found all that to be really, really fascinating. I'm definitely interested in seeing where his character is going to go. I think he definitely is very interesting, and seeing him basically realize that he does need to be the sidekick to the Tick, and he does need to be the Moth, is really interesting, because the Tick seems like he has all these powers, and that, he is a superhero, but Arthur's not. So if Arthur gets damaged, then it could really hurt him. So, while you do want him to fight with the Tick, at the same time, you can see where Dot's coming from, where you're like, dude, you could be crazy here, and this is not, a safe situation at all, and you really could be doing, causing a lot of harm to yourself. So, I thought it was really cool the way the show balanced those two things, where, yes, you're having fun, but at the same time, you're very concerned for Arthur, because you don't know if he's crazy or not. You don't know if he's actually off his rocker, and I think that's something that actually does really help this show. It just gives you more of an urgency to watch, and it makes you care about this character a lot more than I think we initially would have if we did not have that part of the show. I think it just works really well. And the show's really funny too. I mean, I was getting a kick out of a lot of the Tick's lines. I thought it was just a lot of fun to watch, and I thought there were just a lot of the interplay between those two is just it's great to watch, and just some really funny lines. The introduction as well. Oh my god, I loved the Tick's introduction. The way he opened this up with talking about like the origin of superheroes and talking about, oh, I'm not in the story. I just thought there was a lot of fun to watch, and I really enjoyed that. They really did embrace the humor very well. The cinematography, for a show that is on Amazon, this has a really big budget. You can really tell that they really did put their all into the show, and the cinematography here is great. I mean, I really did feel like I was watching a classic superhero show in a modern day setting, obviously, but I thought they did a really good job with it. Again, it's really embracing the cheesiness and the costumes. I know a lot of people have said, oh, they don't really like the costumes, but I think it works. I think it works for the imagination and the creativity and just how ridiculous a lot of this really is. I think it honestly worked really well, and I definitely really did enjoy that. And then the score as well is just a lot of fun to watch, and I definitely did enjoy the score here. And the show really does fly by. Like, I can really see this being one of those shows that really does fly by to me, and that's something else that really did stick out, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing where the rest of this show really does go. Overall, guys, I really love this first episode. I thought it was honestly really well done. I really can't find many complaints when it comes to this first episode. I definitely really did enjoy it. If there was anything any complaint I could have had, I just wish we dived a little bit deeper into Arthur or the Tick's characters, but I'm sure we will in the rest of the season. There's still a lot more time to do that. I thought this was just a really great first episode. I really did love the way that this did in fact take off. And I am going to give the first episode of The Tick, Season 1, Episode 1, also called The Tick, a B+. So overall, guys, for the first episode of The Tick, let me know what you guys thought of this overall, left your thoughts in it. I do plan on finishing this first season very quickly. There's only 6 episodes, and I can get that done very quickly. So I could even finish this during the weekend. We'll have to see, but that's my review. Hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see you guys for my next video, which will be for a movie review, but it's for a very special movie review. It's not for just any movie review. It's a movie that you guys actually might not know about, which I have been very excited for a long time, and we'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.